Hello. Good evening, students. Am I audible to you all? Dilshan, Sandeep, Vijay. Okay. Sandeep, is this your first class? Oh. With me, is it your first class? I think it's first with me. Isn't it? Good evening, Vijay. Okay. So, good evening, Samu. How are you? So today we are going to study about a topic that is again from the perspective of a firm. If you remember, in the last few classes, we studied about the equilibrium of the producer's equilibrium. Okay. Now today we are going to study about the economies of scale and revenue concepts. All right. So let us, what is the meaning of this word economies of scale? What is the meaning of economies? Anyone has any idea about that? Okay. So there are two terms, economies of scale and diseconomies of scale. They are the two terms which are related with respect to firms, big firms. Okay. So economies of scale means when the firm operates at a very huge scale, on a massive scale, then what happens is the average cost per unit of the firm goes down. So in that case, the economies of scale comes into operation, and it is really profitable for a firm to be in a state of economies of scale. And if it increases its production beyond that, then it may enter into a state of diseconomies of scale. In that case, the per unit cost will be higher for the firm. So it will be in a non-profitable situation. Okay. So now going forward, let us see them in detail. Okay. So what are economies of scale? They are the cost advantages that a business obtains due to expansion. When the economists are talking about economies of scale, they are usually talking about internal economies of scale. Now these economies of scale are of two types, internal and external. So internal economy is the one in which the which talks about a firm in question, and external economies is when it is for the whole industry, and because of the external factors the firm is able to lower down its per unit cost of production, not because of the internal factors. That is external economies. But we will be more focused on the internal economies, because for an individual firm, getting into a situation of economies of scale will be much better and advantageous. Okay. So they are the advantages gained by an individual firm by increasing its size, that is having larger or more plants. Now, this economies of scale, there are two things. Like there is not any reduction in cost of output. Okay, there is no reduction in the cost of output. That is what we need to know. But what economies of scale actually means is that per unit cost goes down. Okay, so this is the difference between economy this is what the economies of scale means. When a firm increases its production beyond a certain level, then its per unit cost goes down, and that is the situation of economies of scale. Because of the large size, the massive size of operation, because of producing more and more units, the firm is getting lower per unit cost. It is not that there is any reduction in the cost of output. The cost will remain the same. Just a second. I'll explain with the help of an example. Suppose the firm is manufacturing 100 units. Okay. Now, the per unit cost of production is 120. Sorry, I would say the total cost that the firm is incurring is 120. Okay, good evening Darshana. Good evening Shakil. Welcome to class. We have just started with the topic. You can just catch up. We are discussing about the economies and diseconomies of scale. Okay, so right now we are on economies of scale itself. So if the firm is manufacturing 100 units and the cost which it is incurring for that is 120. Okay, so what will be the per unit cost? The per unit cost for firm, what will it be? Dilshan, Sandeep, Vijay, Samu, Darshana. 12. 12. 12. Are you sure? It will be 12 or 1.2. 120 divided by 100. It will be 1.2, isn't it? Yeah. So that will be 1.2. Now, if the firm starts manufacturing 120 units, the firm makes adjustments in its operations and it starts manufacturing 120 units and still the cost is 120 only. Then in that case, per unit cost of production is 1 rupees. So this is a state of economies of scale. Because of the increase in the size of production, the firm is getting an advantage and its per unit or rather average cost of production is going down. Isn't it? So this is economies of scale. Because of the increase in the size, the firm is able to get certain advantages. Now this is economies of scale that we have discussed. Now what is the diseconomy of scale? It is the reverse of that. Diseconomies of scale are the disadvantages of being too large. A firm that increases its scale of operation to a point where it encounters rising long-run average cost is said to be experiencing internal diseconomies of scale. It is the reverse. Like when the firm increases its output or when it increases its scale of operation, it is getting into a situation of diseconomies of scale. Its average cost is going up instead of going down. That is diseconomies. Now what is internal economies of scale and external economies of scale? Just read it, all of you. Done? Okay. So internal economies of scale. Lower long-run average costs results from a firm growing in size. Okay? Means internal because of the internal operations of the firm. Because on its own the firm is able to curb its cost of production or per unit cost of production. That is internal economy. Now external economy is when there is a reduction in the average cost because of the industry, because of certain industrial advantages and benefits the firm is able to lower down its cost of production. That is external economy, due to outside factors, the factors beyond the firm. Now diseconomies are also the same. When internal economy is because of the firm itself, because of its own operations, the cost of production goes up. That is internal economy. And external diseconomy is when it is due to result of a industry. Like suppose there is a firm which is into the manufacturing of a certain product, and for that it is taking raw material from a foreign country. Now if that foreign country imposes a heavy tax on that commodity which is being imported for manufacturing the raw material, then in that case the average cost of the firm is going to go up, and over here the firm is not doing anything. It is operating on the same level, but because there is an external factor, the other country has increased the tax on that raw material. So the cost of importing it into our country will be costlier, and hence the cost of production will be higher. So that is an example of external diseconomy of scale from other sources, not from internal sources. Got that? The difference? Dirshan, Sandeep, Vijay, Samu, Darshana. Okay. Now types of internal economies of scale. When we are talking about companies itself, what are the different types of economies of scale? So there are different types to it. The first is the buying economy. Now what is this buying economy? Buying economy is like when we are buying in a bulk, instead of 1 gallon of oil, we are taking 2 gallons of oil. So obviously we are able to the same 2 gallon of oil will reach our warehouse in the same cost of transportation. We were paying $500 previously also for transportation, and now also we are paying $500 only. But now instead of 100 gallons, we are getting 200 gallons. Isn't it? So that is when we are doing the business on a large scale, we are getting certain benefits in buying. And moreover, like it's a discount. When we do bulk purchasing, then what happens? We get discount. So that discount means reduction in the total cost. So that is an additional advantage to the firm. Okay. Then selling economies is Riza, good evening. Welcome to class. Today we are talking about the external and internal economies of scale. Okay. Now what are these selling economies? Selling economies is same. It's like when we the advantages which we get in the case of selling the goods. Now let us do each of them in detail. So the first one is the buying economies. Now what are these? They are the best known type. Large firms that buy raw materials in bulk and place large orders for capital equipment usually receive a discount. So this means that they have paid less for each item purchased. They may receive a better treatment because the suppliers will be anxious to keep such large customers. Okay? Clear? Because they are purchasing at a large scale, the sellers are offering them discounts. So that is another advantage. Now selling economies. Every part of marketing has a cost, particularly promotional methods such as advertising and running a sales force. Many of these marketing costs are fixed costs, and so as a business gets larger, it is able to spread the cost of marketing over a wider range of products and sales. Just a second, I'll drink water. Just a second. Okay. Suppose now for marketing, every firm has to incur some cost. So many of these marketing costs are fixed by nature. Can you give me an example of fixed marketing cost? TV ad. TV ad is not a fixed cost. Okay, I'll go with Darshana's example. Suppose there is a booklet and brochure that is being printed by the firm. So we have installed a printing machine and we have installed a printer also for the same. We have appointed a printer. So whether we are advertising the product or not, we have to pay the printer's salary. So that salary is a fixed cost for the firm, isn't it? So more the sales, more will be the printing done by the printer in the same amount of salary. So we will have selling economies. Okay. Now next is, as a firm grows, there is a greater potential for managers to specialize in particular tasks. Example, marketing, human resource management and finance. Specialist managers are likely to be more efficient as they possess a high level of expertise, experience and qualifications compared to one person in a smaller firm trying to perform all of these roles. Like if we are growing in our size, we will have different departments and then we can appoint specialized managers to look after them. So these managers will be more efficient than the ordinary people which were working previously with us. So more efficient people, more will be the reduction in the cost. Wastage of resources will be very less. Alright. So that is, we can say, managerial economies due to the greater management skills. The next is financial economies. So many small business find it hard to obtain the finance, and when they obtain it, the cost of finance is often quite high. Because what is the normal assumption? The perception is that those firms which are smaller in nature, they are more risky when investment is concerned. If we are going to invest in them, we may just lose our money. And if the firm is big enough, it has got a big name, it has got a goodwill in the market, then people will be much ready to give them loans, to offer them money for investment. So in that case, financial economies are operating. Okay. So larger firms therefore find it easier to find the potential lenders and to raise money at lower interest rates. Raisa, share market is not the right example for this case. It is like bigger the size, more is the goodwill, the credit worthiness of the firm. So more are the chances of getting loans easily. Then next is technical economies. What are these technical economies? Obviously, if the firm is having a large scale production, it can use much advanced technology and machines. So the cost per unit will obviously be low because of the specialized machines which we have put in. The example is in a hospital. If it's a general nursing home, then what happens? People are like the machines are not so well equipped. If it's a super specialty hospital, then you find different departments for different ailments and as well as different kinds of equipments, isn't it? So that is an example of technical economies. So having increased the size of the business, can you give example for financial economies? Yes, Shakil. For the example for financial economies is obtaining loan from the market. We are operating on a large scale. If I talk about Reliance Industries, so Reliance, and I put up two companies, Reliance Industries and Mehta Industries. Now two industries are there, Reliance and Mehta. So who do you think will get loan easily from the market, or whose share will sell off easily? Reliance or Mehta? Reliance, because that is a known name. Everybody knows about Reliance. So Reliance Industries is the industries which will. So that is how the financial economies operate. Because of the goodwill, the firm is getting loan easily. Money is floated easily. Then technical economies, it is done. Then research and development. Suppose we grow big in size as a business, as a firm, then we may be able to set up a separate research and development department as well for our company. Now all the big companies, they have an R&D cell. R&D cell is research and development cell. So that R&D cell is able to able to give appropriate results. Yes, medicine is one example, medicine industry. Suppose there is a medicine manufacturing unit. They grow very big in size, and then what they decide? They decide that now we will have an R&D department for ourselves. So that department will give them appropriate data, and on that data they can come to good conclusions. Okay. So just read it. A large firm can have, read this one. Okay. Now risk bearing economies. This is very important. Now suppose there is a large firm. The large firm, it has the option of many products. It can manufacture many products at the same plant or using the same things. Like the best example is Nokia itself. Like Nokia is a mobile company. It's a China-based company, and it manufactures n number of mobiles, right from a simple phone to a simple black and white phone to smartphones. So it has the option of Like suppose if the sale of black and white mobile set goes down, or it's not a successful venture for it, then what it may do, it may diverge its resources into the manufacturing of the smartphones, because the sale of smartphones is very high, especially these days. So in that case, the loss of one particular unit is made good by the other unit. So again, the firm is not at a loss, it is standing to gain. Okay, now there is one example. Do you know about Bata? Anybody has heard this name? Bata. Sandeep, can you tell what is that? Everybody, you all know? Yes, it's a shoe company. So what does it specialize in? It specializes in shoes, footwear basically. Okay, so this company, it started as a footwear company, then it started expanding its scale of production, and now it has become a very big company. And now what it is doing, it is not only manufacturing footwear, it is into business of handbags, traveler's bag, then it also manufactures shoe polish, brushes, and what else? There are many other diversified and related products which it is manufacturing. So again, that is because of this risk-bearing economies. Suppose if the shoe polish section is not giving good results, what it will do? It will stop that, and it will use all the resources into the manufacturing of footwears only. So loss of one department is covered by the other one. So that is risk-bearing economy. All right. Now, growing beyond a certain output can cause a firm's average cost to rise. Now this is about internal diseconomies of scale. So we are done with economies of scale. Is it clear to you all? Economies of scale. Any doubts? Okay. So now we go to the second part of the same topic, that is diseconomies of scale. Now diseconomies of scale is growing beyond a certain output can cause a firm's average cost to rise. This is because the firm may encounter a number of problems including difficulties. So like, what are the difficulties? Controlling the firm. If we grow too enormous in our size, then it may not be possible to control every department. Then there may be communication problems. More the people involved, more will be the communication lapses. Then poor industrial relations. Because there are large number of people, obviously they will have all their own perceptions and thinking, and that will again be a problem. What are the difficulties in controlling the firm? Very general things. You can just read it. Like supervisors, it will be difficult for them to manage everything. Then management becomes very complex and meetings are necessary. Because the meetings are necessary, the administrative cost will be higher. So that is why the problems may crop up for the firm. Isn't it? The next is communication problems. Very general. It is very difficult to ensure that everyone is aware about their duties, and everyone may not get a chance to exchange their views and innovative ideas. So that will be a problem to the firm itself. Okay. Then poor industrial relations. Higher risk for larger firms, as there will be more conflicts and diverse opinions. There will be strikes, lockouts. So that all will add to the cost of the firm. Even if there is a strike in the factory, the fixed cost will be incurred by the factory. They have to pay the rent, they have to pay the basic electricity charges, they will have to pay the rent of the telephone. So they are not manufacturing anything, but still they have to incur these costs. So that all will add to the cost of the firm. Okay. Now external economies. We discussed about the internal economies of scale, isn't it? The economies which comes because of the internal operations of a firm. Now we are going to discuss about the external economies, which stands for those which are due to the external factors. Number one is skilled labor force. If a firm is of good repute, big in size, it can recruit workers who have been trained. Then it creates good reputation for the firm. Specialist suppliers of raw materials and capital goods. When an industry becomes large enough, it can become worthwhile for other industries called subsidiary industries to set up for providing for the needs of the industry. Okay, like suppose if there is one industry which is very big in size, and it is generating economies of scale, then what it can do, it can transfer a part of it to the subsidiary industries. Maybe a firm is in the need of 1 lakh units of bricks. Then what it can do, it can divide its 1 lakh units requirement into, it may distribute it among the different industries, like companies in the same industry. So that will help them in meeting the target, and that will give external economies to the other firms. Then there are specialist services and specialist markets. You can just read it. If you have any problems, please ask. Done? All of you have read? So it's easy. Markets are specialized. Then infrastructure is specialized. Like this is important. The growth of an industry may encourage a government and private sector firms to provide better road links, electric supplies, build new airports, and develop dock facilities. Do you all know about SEZ? SEZ. Okay. SEZ stands for, yes Darshana, Special Economic Zone. So special economic zone is a particular area that is set up by, like, there may be a part of land in the city which may be designated as the special economic zone by the government, and government will give certain added advantage to the people who are going to invest in that area. Maybe if a person wants to set up industry in that area, he will get bank loan at a cheaper rate, he will get cheaper electricity, cheaper transportation. Then such facilities may also be available, better road links, build new airport lines, develop dock facilities. Yes, industrial area in Dubai, everywhere, in most of the metros, in most of the big cities, cosmopolitan cities, there is a special economic zone. So that is an area where things are little cheaper, and infrastructurally wise very good for the people. Okay, free zone. Alright, Darshana. The other name is free zone. Yeah. In India it is known as special economic zone, SEZ. So now comes the external diseconomies of scale. Now what are the diseconomies? Diseconomies means when instead of getting benefited due to the increase in size, the firm gets into trouble. Its cost increases. That is diseconomy. So just a firm can grow too large, so can an industry. So what are the problems? If the firm is large, there can be transportation problems. There may be congestion in the city, in the firm itself. There may be, the journey time may be higher, transport costs will be more, and workers' productivity will be very less then. Okay. So growth of industry may increase the competition for resources, pushing up the price of key sites, capital equipment and labor. So these are the other things which will follow. The land will become cheaper, capital and labor will be higher, sorry, not cheaper, it will be higher. Then, so that will all be a cause of trouble for the firm. Okay. So let us now go to the second part, revenue and revenue curves. You all understand the meaning of revenue? Revenue means money. Okay. Revenue means the earning of the firm. So revenue is a very important aspect which every firm looks into, and it is of prime importance, we can say. So it's very easy to understand. So total amount of money value received by a firm or an industry by selling the goods and services is known as a revenue. Like you are paying for this class. Okay. So what is IMT is getting? It is getting revenue, and it is sharing a part of that revenue with the teachers. Okay. So that's revenue for us. So the example is very simple. If a firm produces 100 units of commodity per day and sells at 20 per unit, then its revenue is 2000 per day. Okay. So now there are three categories to this revenue. One is total revenue, average revenue and marginal revenue. So total revenue is this, as given in the example, the revenue which comes from the sale of all units. So the formula is very simple. Revenue of one unit into the number of units sold. Then average revenue is the change in the total revenue. That is not average revenue, that is marginal revenue. Change in the total revenue due to the sale of one additional unit. Then average revenue is per unit revenue. Now let us see them in detail. Just see. Total revenue, this is just the definition for that. It's total sum of money received from the sales of various quantities of output of product produced during a given period of time at certain price level is known as total revenue of a firm or an industry for that time period. So it can be obtained by multiplying the total output sold by the corresponding price. That is Q, the number of units sold, into the price or the revenue of one unit, P. So that is the definition for total revenue. It's mathematical and very simple to understand. Then average revenue is the per unit revenue, and that is obtained by dividing the total revenue with the number of units sold. Okay. Now next is marginal revenue. So marginal revenue means the addition made to the total revenue because of the sale of one extra unit. Just see. Total revenue of n units minus the total revenue of n minus 1 units. Suppose the firm is selling 40 units for 400 rupees. Okay. Now the firm is selling 41 units for 408 units. So what is the average, marginal revenue for the firm? It is 8 rupees. Okay. Clear? This is very similar to the concept of marginal and revenue, which we have been studying for so many days. Okay, like we discussed in that previous class, marginal product, average product. So it is similar to that only. But now the terms have changed. Instead of product, it is revenue. You can see it. So marginal revenue. What is the other way of looking at marginal revenue? We can say it is the change in total revenue due to the change in the quantity sold on the market by 1 unit. Change in total revenue upon change in the quantity sold. Yes, marginal. Now, there are different types of revenue curves under different market situations, but the general market situation which we take into consideration is the perfect market competition. You understand what is the meaning of perfect competition? Okay. Perfect competition is a market situation in which there are large number of sellers and large number of buyers for the product, and buyer is the king or consumer is the king in such a type of market situation. Suppose I talk about mobile industry. There are so many manufacturers, Nokia, Sony, then Xiaomi, and Samsung, so many. So mobile industry is a perfect example of perfect competition. So in this case, no individual buyer or seller can influence the smooth functioning of the market. Yes, shoe industry. The things the prices are decided by the free play of demand and supply. They will be adjusted on the basis of the demand and supply for the product. Okay, there will be no role of the sellers in deciding the price of the product. Okay. So the firms are the price taker. They have to accept the price, the prevailing price. Now let us see the graph for all of these. Total revenue, marginal revenue and average revenue. Now this is the formula which we have already discussed. So total revenue increases at the same rate because every additional unit of commodity is sold at the same price. So in this type of market, the firms are price taker, not price maker. That we have already discussed. Now here is a table to explain that. Now you can see 0 unit, this is the per unit price. For 1 unit it's 10, for it's the same. Now total revenue for 1 unit it's 10, for 2 units it's 10 into 2, 20, 10 into 3, 10 into 4, 10 into 5. So the total revenue is constantly increasing. Now if we put it on a graph, how is it going to look like? Can you see that? For 1 unit it's 10, for 2 unit 20, 3 unit 30, 4 unit 40, 5 unit 50. So simply the line is going up. It's a simple, the slope is positively increasing. Okay. Now comes the next, that is average revenue, sorry. So average revenue is divided by, is the total revenue divided by the number of units sold. So let us see how is it calculated. So this is the per unit price and this is from the previous table only, the total revenue. How is average revenue calculated? TR upon Q, that is total revenue divided by the quantity sold. Now let us calculate it for the third unit. Total revenue is 30 and unit is 3. So 30 divided by 3, 40 divided by 4, 50 divided by 5. So that is the column for average revenue. Okay. So the above information shows that average revenue is constant and is equal to the price for all levels of output. It was 10 for all the units. So that is how it is. Now let us plot it on a graph. How will it look like? It will be a horizontal straight line because it is same for all the units. You can see it is 10 for all the units, isn't it? So it looks like this. The average revenue curve is like a straight line, a line that is parallel to the x-axis. Okay. So now comes the last one, that is marginal revenue. So marginal revenue means the change in the total revenue because of the sale of one extra unit. So now let us see. Let us just carry forward with the same graph only. So calculating it mathematically from 1 to 2 unit. The price has gone from 10 to 20, means the marginal revenue is 10. For the third unit again it is 10. For fourth, for fifth, every unit it is 10. That is one way of calculating it. comparing it with the previous unit, the price of the previous unit, and subtracting the two. That is one method. And the other method is this formula: change in total revenue divided by change in quantity. So total revenue, actually this is what we have been doing. Total revenue is now 20 and the change in quantity is 2. So 20 upon 2, 30 upon 3, 40 upon 4, that way. So this is what we are going to get. So looking at this, what can you say? The average revenue and marginal revenue curve is just the same. Okay. If we plot it graphically, we will get the same curve as the curve for average revenue. Similar type of a curve. Okay. So that is the meaning of an average marginal revenue curve. This all was in the for the perfect competition market. Okay. Now what is the relationship between these three? It is total revenue increases at the rate of average revenue or marginal revenue for all level of sales. Yes, total revenue means if the sale is going to go up, then definitely the marginal revenue and the total revenue both will increase. Average revenue and marginal revenue are equal and constant for all levels of sales, that we have seen. For every unit, this was 10 only. For 5 units, for 6 units, for 3 units, 2 units, every unit it was equal to 10. So average revenue and marginal revenue both are equal to the price. Yes, the price for the product was also fixed at 10 per unit, and average revenue and marginal revenue throughout also remained 10 per unit. That we have seen in our chart. Okay. So this is the relationship between these three. The one is that total revenue increases at the rate of average revenue and marginal revenue. If average revenue and marginal revenue is increasing, then total revenue will also increase. Then average revenue and marginal revenue are equal and constant. Average revenue and marginal revenue both are equal to the price. Alright. I hope it is clear. It's a simple thing. So that's it. We are done for today. These were the two things which we were supposed to do today. So we'll meet in the next class and we'll carry forward with the same thing, another part of the same topic. So till we meet next, it's bye from my side. Good night everybody. Take care and please go through your textbooks so that you can have a better understanding of the whole topic and you can clear your doubts in the next class. Alright. Good night. Take care. Thanks for your time and please fill the feedback form which you'll get at the end. Okay. Bye everybody. Take care. Good night.